So let's get started calculating and creating our frequency distribution. Before I do anything, I like to find the number of observations, our maximum, minimum, and our range, just simply because we use this when we are finding our frequency distribution. So our number of observations, we can see here easily from this table, we have 6 across, 4 down, we have 24. Our maximum number we found previously on the previous slide, we discussed it. Our max is 11 and our minimum value is 2. And then to calculate the range, 11 minus 2 gives us 9. So now we're ready to start with step 1, which is decide on the number of classes. This is somewhat subjective. However, I'd like to encourage you to use the formula or recipe that the textbook gives us, which is 2 raised to the k, which is the number of classes, should be greater than n, which is the number of observations. So we're going to go ahead and use this to figure out the number of classes. So I know that my number of observations is 24, so I need to get some value k that when I do 2 raised to the k is going to give me greater than 24. So we are going to guess and check. So let's try 2 to the 4 and see what that gives us. So 2 to the 4 gives us 16. Okay, remember that we're trying to get 2 to some k value that is greater than 24. So that's not going to work. So that is, nope. Let's try 2 to the 5. 2 raised to the 5th is 32. Is 32 greater than 24? Yes. So we are going to use 5 classes. Our next step, step 2, is to determine the class interval or class width. And we can do that by using this equation. So we want the class interval to be greater than or equal to the maximum minus the minimum. So that's another way of saying range divided by the number of classes. So we already have this information calculated above, which is convenient so that we can just go ahead and figure this out now. We already know that our range is 9 and we said our number of classes was 5. But 9 divided by 5 doesn't give us a nice whole number. What it does give us, let me pull up my calculator. What it does give us, 9 divided by 5 is 1.8. 1.8. Here's the thing. Your class interval needs to be the same place value in data. So for example, all of our data is in whole numbers, so we want our class interval to be in whole numbers too. And the way that we do this, it's really easy. You're just going to round this 1.8 up to the next whole number. So 2. So our class interval is going to be 2. So next is step 3, which says set the individual class limits. So the way that we do this, I'm going to just slowly unveil this, is we look at our minimum value. We start there. So our minimum value is 2, and then our class interval is 2. So that means there's 2 in each. So 2 and 3 is 2, 4 and 5 is 2, 6 and 7 is 2, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that is how we set our individual class limits. Step 4 then is tallying. So I've already done that. I've gone through and I've tallied. We have 1, 2, 3 people that walk between 2 to 3 miles a day on their shift. And I did that for the rest. Step 5 is to count the number of items in each class that you've tallied and put them over here in our number of employees or the frequency. And then remember at the end, we talked about making sure that you're adding all these up to verify that you've used every piece of data that has been given to you. And that is how you create the frequency distribution.